The stars were cold and distant, but the council chamber floated among them like a jewel in the void. Hundreds of alien scholars had gathered, their forms strange and varied, from shimmering clouds of light to towering figures with armored exoskeletons. Every one of them carried the weight of a civilization, and every one believed they understood the limits of the universe. Today, they discussed a small blue planet called Earth. The transmission from the planet's surface had reached their chambers days ago, and already most of the council considered it irrelevant. Humans were primitive, they said. They had barely left their home star, barely learned to work with energy beyond their planet. And yet, the question was, could such beings ever truly matter? "Primitive," hissed a scholar with 3 translucent eyes. Its voice echoed across the chamber, resonating like 100 wind chimes in a canyon. "They cannot even stabilize a moon, and you wish to discuss them as if they could touch the stars?" A murmur ran through the council. Some nodded, some rolled their eyes. One scholar, older than the oldest known star, leaned forward. "It is curiosity, yes," it said in a slow, measured tone. "Curiosity alone may push a species beyond its own limits, but curiosity does not equal mastery. Humans are nothing but curiosity wrapped in fragile flesh." On Earth, the news of this council's attention reached a few top scientists. In a small lab in Geneva, a young engineer named Lyra Hahn stared at her computer screen, watching the alien transmission with a mixture of fear and fascination. Her fingers trembled slightly as she typed notes. The aliens had already judged humanity as incapable, and yet, something in Lyra's mind stirred. She leaned back and looked at her colleagues. "They think we are primitive," she said, quietly, her voice firm despite the tension in the room. "They think we cannot understand the universe, but what if they are wrong?" Her colleague, a physicist named Raj, shook his head. "Lyra, they are thousands of years ahead. Their knowledge is beyond our understanding. We are nothing to them." "Exactly," Lyra replied, her eyes bright. "We are nothing to them, and that is exactly why we have a chance. They do not expect anything from us. If we can prove them wrong—" Her voice trailed, but the weight of possibility hung in the air. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, discussion continued. Another alien scholar, a being that resembled a twisting ribbon of dark light, spoke sharply. "I propose we vote. Either we ignore this species entirely, or we observe and record their inevitable failure. There is no reason to waste resources on beings that cannot comprehend stellar forces." "Agreed," said another. Its voice was harsh, metallic, like steel grinding on steel. "Humanity cannot even manage their own planet's energy grids. The chance they can manipulate anything beyond their sun is zero. Zero." But not everyone agreed. A younger scholar, barely a century old by alien standards, raised a delicate limb. "Perhaps we underestimate them. Every species had surprises. Every species once thought weak, foolish, or simple. Could we be blind to something in humans we cannot yet see?" Laughter echoed from several corners. "Blind?" one of the oldest scholars sneered. "They are tiny creatures, barely taller than a meter on average. Their brains are slow compared to our own. They have no idea how to manipulate stellar energy. They are and will remain insignificant." Back on Earth, Lyra turned away from the screen and began scanning data from solar observatories. The lab was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional beep from computers. Her team had been studying solar winds for months, and now, inspired by the council's scorn, she felt a spark of determination. "What if the stars themselves could respond to energy patterns?" she murmured to herself. Raj glanced up, frowning. "That is theoretical, almost impossible. We have no means to test it." "Not impossible," Lyra said firmly. "Not if we think differently. The aliens assume we follow normal logic, but we do not have to." She turned back to the star charts, tracing lines across the sun and nearby planets. The energy streams moved like invisible rivers. A thought struck her. What if humans could tap into these streams, guide them, influence them? It was dangerous, too dangerous for anyone to try, but the possibility made her pulse race. In the council chamber, the debate reached a climax. The older scholars voted to dismiss Earth entirely. They would watch, record, and expect failure. But the younger scholar's voice lingered in the air, uncomfortably. Curiosity could not be suppressed so easily. For now, the council chose scorn over fear. They believed humanity's limits were absolute, a species confined to its small blue world. They did not know that somewhere on that world, in a quiet lab, a human mind was already imagining a way to bend those limits. Lyra's eyes shone with determination. If they think we are primitive, then they have no idea what we are capable of. We will show them, one way or another. Outside, the night sky shimmered. Stars burned bright, distant and silent, unaware of the small creatures plotting below. But soon, those stars would be watched in a new light, under human hands, guided by human minds. And for the first time, the audience, whether human or alien, felt the tension. The stage was set. The council had dismissed humanity, but the real story, the story of ingenuity, of defiance, of the unknown, was only beginning. The chamber hummed with alien voices, Earth's lab hummed with machines, and Lyra Hahn knew one thing clearly: the universe had just underestimated humans. The lab was alive with tension. Machines hummed, screens flashed with data, and the soft smell of heated circuits lingered in the air. Lyra Hahn stood at the center, staring at the prototype, a small metallic device no bigger than a truck engine. It was designed to channel the sun's energy into controlled streams, something humanity had never attempted before. Every wire, every crystal inside it was calibrated to the smallest detail. And yet, even with precision, one wrong calculation could mean disaster. Raj paced behind her, muttering numbers under his breath. "The energy we are trying to control, it is far beyond what we have ever handled. One misstep, and we could create a solar flare strong enough to knock out Earth's entire electrical grid." Lyra did not flinch. "Or we could do something no species has ever done. They expect failure. That is why we have a chance." A soft alarm sounded. The prototype had begun a low hum, signaling the first live test. They were not just testing theory anymore. They were testing reality. Outside the lab, satellites in orbit monitored every change in the solar wind. On the screens, lines of energy danced like invisible rivers. Lyra's fingers flew over the controls, adjusting frequency and amplitude. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the humming machine. "Steady," she whispered, "steady." Raj looked over her shoulder. "It's responding, but barely. The streams are shifting, but not enough. We need more precision. We need—" He stopped mid-sentence. Something on the screen caught his eye. A small spike in energy, subtle but unmistakable, was moving on a path they had not programmed. "Is that—" Lyra's voice was barely audible. "It's responding to us." "Yes," Raj said, his eyes wide. "But how? That spike, it's like the sun itself is listening." The lab team exchanged nervous glances. Outside, the world was oblivious to the small room's quiet chaos. But for these humans, every heartbeat felt like a countdown. The aliens watching from their distant council chambers would be laughing, or they would be astonished soon. Lyra made a quick decision. We push further. Increase the flow by 10%. Let's see if we can guide it more accurately. Raj hesitated. 10% is dangerous. That could do it, Lyra snapped. If we falter now, we'll never get the chance again. With a nod, Raj adjusted the controls. The device vibrated, its hum growing louder. Lines of energy on the screens began to bend, twist, and converge along precise paths. The solar wind seemed to follow the machine's commands, forming patterns humans had only dreamed of controlling. "It's working," whispered another team member, May, her voice trembling with awe. "It's really working." For a brief moment, the room was silent, every eye glued to the screens. The lines of energy shimmered, then stabilized into perfect arcs. The prototype glowed like a tiny sun. The impossible was happening before their eyes. Meanwhile, in the alien council chamber, transmission feeds from Earth flickered across the walls. Scholars leaned forward, their 3, 4, or 5 eyes fixed on the small blue planet. Most were preparing to record a failure, ready to scoff at humanity's ignorance. Then, the transmission showed the arcs of energy bending, as if guided by invisible hands. Gasps echoed through the chamber. One scholar's voice trembled. "Impossible! They are controlling the sun?" "Check the calculations. There must be a mistake. Humans cannot. Look at the feed," a younger scholar shouted. "The energy is responding to them in real time. The sun itself bends to their device." Back in the lab, the tension was far from over. The first small success had only raised the stakes. Lyra turned to her team, her eyes blazing with determination. "Now we try something bigger. We control not just a stream, but a network. Let the solar energy flow to multiple points simultaneously. If this works, we can influence regions far beyond our orbit." Raj swallowed hard. "That could affect satellites, power grids, even planets. Are we ready for that?" "We have to be," Lyra said simply. "The universe is watching, whether they know it or not." As they began the second test, the machine pulsed with power. The lab shook slightly, the floor humming with energy. Lyra adjusted the controls, carefully guiding the solar streams along new paths. The lines shimmered in perfect synchrony, like rivers bending to an unseen hand. "Precision is key," she said. "One wrong move and we lose control. Watch every spike, correct immediately." For hours they worked, adjusting, correcting, pushing the limits of their calculations. Sweat dripped from their brows, but no one stopped. Outside, the solar wind danced obediently, as if the sun itself had learned to follow human commands. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lyra leaned back and whispered, "We did it." The prototype's glow dimmed slightly, stabilizing into a calm, steady light. On the screens, the streams of energy flowed exactly as they had intended. For a moment, the lab was silent, everyone staring in awe at what they had accomplished. Raj finally spoke, voice shaking. We actually did it. We controlled the solar wind." "Yes," Lyra said softly, almost to herself. "And if we can do this, if we can prove this works, the galaxy will have to see humans in a new light." Outside, satellites captured the energy patterns. Somewhere, hidden in the council chambers, alien scholars whispered in disbelief. They had judged humanity without hesitation. They expected failure. But Earth had just taken its first step towards something no species had ever done. And in that quiet lab, Lyra Hahn realized the truth. Humanity had gambled everything, and for the first time, the impossible had begun to bend to human hands. The stakes were higher than ever, the risk enormous, but the potential limitless. The universe was about to notice humanity, and humanity was ready to show it could play in a game no one believed they could play. The alien council chamber was filled with chatter and murmurs.
Holographic screens floated above the floor, displaying the first live transmissions from Earth. Most of the scholars leaned back, their expressions smug and dismissive. To them, humans were nothing more than primitive animals, barely aware of their own planet. They expected failure, spectacular failure, something to record and mock for centuries. "Look at them," said a scholar, whose body shimmered like liquid metal. "Their machines are fragile. One misstep, one burst of solar wind, and it will all collapse. Truly pathetic." Another scholar, tall and thin with crystalline eyes, waved a delicate arm. "Observe closely, everyone. When the sun reacts, they will crumble. Humanity's arrogance is boundless." But not all scholars were confident. A younger one, barely decades old by alien standards, leaned forward, its voice shaking. "They may be primitive, yes, but there is something different here. Watch how the energy responds to them. It is unusual." In Earth's lab, Lyra Hahn and her team monitored their prototype with careful attention. The second trial had gone better than expected. The solar streams moved along precise paths, as if guided by a living hand. Lyra's hands danced over the controls, adjusting, calibrating, testing. Every slight shift mattered. Raj pointed to the screen. "The response, it's stronger than we predicted. The sun is not just following, it's anticipating." Lyra's brow furrowed. "Anticipating? That's impossible." May, who had been silent most of the day, leaned forward. "Perhaps it's learning. Our inputs combined with the natural solar patterns. It's like we are teaching it." The room fell quiet for a moment, everyone staring at the glowing streams of energy. The impossible was happening again, but this time it was bigger. The sun's energy did not simply respond, it flowed in harmony with the prototype, as if the star itself had recognized a human voice for the first time. Back in the alien council, laughter rang out, at first loud, confident, cruel. Scholars gestured toward the holograms, preparing to record the expected disaster. "See," one shouted, "pathetic! They think they can command a star. Do you hear the hum? That is the sound of inevitable failure." Then the lines of energy on the screen began to bend, not chaotically, but with perfect precision. The streams wove together like threads of light, forming shapes and patterns the humans had only imagined. The laughter stopped. One by one the scholars leaned forward, blinking their many eyes in disbelief. "What is this?" asked a voice, trembling with confusion. "That energy, it moves exactly as they intend." Another scholar, usually stern and unshakable, whispered, "No species has ever controlled the sun itself. It is impossible." The young scholar who had spoken earlier smiled faintly. "I told you, there is something different here. Humanity, they are not ordinary." In Earth's lab, the lab team watched the pattern stabilize. The second trial was a success, bigger and more precise than the first. The prototype hummed like a heartbeat, the solar energy bending to their commands. Lyra leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We're doing it. We're actually controlling the sun." Raj ran his hair through his face, disbelief written across his face. "I thought we were reaching, but this is beyond anything I imagined. The council, they won't believe it." "They will have to," Lyra said. "The universe is watching now." Suddenly, alarms sounded on the lab's monitors. A new spike in energy had appeared, one they had not programmed. Lyra's eyes widened. "Adjust! Adjust immediately! Don't let it destabilize!" The team reacted in perfect unison, hands flying over controls, fingers pressing buttons, rotating dials. The prototype vibrated violently, glowing brighter than ever. Streams of energy twisted and bent, but slowly they began to stabilize, flowing perfectly once more. Lyra's heart pounded. It's learning faster than we are. The sun is responding to our intentions. We are teaching it." In the alien council, the murmurs turned to outright panic. Scholars whispered among themselves, eyes wide. "How is this possible? They are controlling not just the energy, but the sun itself.
It obeys them. No, said another, it cannot be. We have recorded every species in the galaxy. None can bend a star to their will, and yet the evidence is clear. One elder scholar slammed a crystalline hand on the floor. We must stop observing. This cannot continue. They will destabilize systems, alter the galaxy itself. The younger scholar shook his head. No, we cannot stop. We must see this through. Humanity may be unique. Back on Earth, the lab team exhaled slowly, tension leaving their bodies. The second trial had worked, and the impossible was now reality. Lyra looked at her team, eyes shining. We've shown them that humans are not to be dismissed, but this is just the beginning. The real test comes next. We push further. We influence not just a single stream, but an entire network. Raj swallowed hard. If we succeed, the aliens, they'll never see us the same way. No, Lyra said quietly, a small smile forming. They will have to respect us or fear what we can do. Outside, the stars continued to burn, distant and silent, unaware of the small blue planet bending solar energy to its will. But somewhere across the galaxy, eyes that had mocked and scorned humans now watched with disbelief and fear. The Council's mockery had ended. For the first time, humans had proven that they were not primitive, and the galaxy, skeptical, proud, and arrogant, would have to rethink everything it thought it knew about Earth. The prototype's glow dimmed slightly, a calm after the storm of energy. Lyra leaned back, exhausted but resolute. "We've survived the first real test," she whispered, "and we've shown them that humans can play in a game no one expected us to play. The stars, they may just be listening now." And in the council chamber, the whispers continued, tense and unsure. Mockery had turned to awe. Doubt had turned to fear. Humanity had taken its first step toward rewriting the rules of the galaxy. The universe had noticed. The real gamble, the one that would shake the stars, was just beginning.
The night sky above Earth was quiet, but in the lab, nothing was calm. Lara Han and her team stared at the glowing prototype as it pulsed with power. The second trial had worked beyond their expectations, bending solar energy like water along invisible channels. Now they were ready to attempt something far riskier, something no human had ever dared. "We are not just guiding a stream anymore," Lara said, her voice steady though her heart raced. "We are connecting multiple points, using the sun to create a network. If we succeed, we can influence the solar wind across neighboring systems." Raj's face went pale. "Across systems? Lara, we don't even know if that's possible. One misstep could destabilize planets we haven't even considered." "I know," Lara replied, "but nothing worth doing is without risk." The team went to work, adjusting the prototype for the complex task. Lines of energy on the screens began to weave together, forming a pattern unlike anything they had tested before. The hum of the device grew louder, resonating through the lab like a heartbeat of the sun itself. Outside Earth, satellites recorded strange patterns in the solar wind. The energy flowed perfectly, moving in arcs that seemed alive, bending in ways even scientists could not fully predict. It was as if the sun had recognized human intent and decided to cooperate. In the alien council chamber, scholars watched the live feed, their earlier disbelief replaced with fear. The younger scholar from the previous session leaned forward, whispering, "They are controlling multiple streams, across systems. This is beyond anything recorded." The elder scholar, normally unshakable, slammed its hand on the floor. "It is impossible. No species has ever done this. We must intervene." "Intervene," said a crystalline-eyed scholar. "With what? Their control is precise. Even if we try to stop them, they will adapt. They are unpredictable." Back on Earth, the lab was tense. Every adjustment had to be exact. The prototype was straining under the new task, and warnings flashed on the screens. One spike in energy could send a shockwave across the solar system.
Lyra's fingers flew over the controls, her eyes fixed on the streams of energy. Stabilize frequency here, adjust amplitude there, focus on the outer streams. Raj and May worked in perfect synchrony, correcting each deviation immediately. The prototype glowed brighter, the energy arcs shimmering like golden rivers. For a moment, the room fell silent except for the hum, a hum that seemed almost alive. Then, something extraordinary happened. A distant star, far beyond the reach of Earth's technology, flickered in a pattern that matched the energy network. The team stared in disbelief. Is that real?" May whispered. Lyra didn't answer at first. She watched the stars, tracing the pattern with her eyes. "It's responding. The stars, they are responding to us." Raj's hands shook slightly. "We are controlling stars. We are influencing them." The realization hit them all at once. The impossible was happening. Humans, creatures dismissed as primitive, were bending stellar energy across systems, and it was working. In the alien council, chaos broke out. Scholars shouted over each other, holograms flashing with calculations and warnings. "This cannot be," one yelled. "They are controlling not just a single star, but a cluster. Entire routes, used for centuries, could be disrupted." "They are not just controlling energy," said the young scholar calmly, eyes wide. "They are shaping the stars themselves. They are learning faster than anyone expected." The elders looked at one another, panic in their many eyes. They had underestimated humans, thinking them fragile and slow, but the evidence was undeniable. These creatures, tiny, unarmed, seemingly helpless, had done what no one thought possible. Back in the lab, the team adjusted the final parameters. The prototype's hum was louder than ever, almost painful in its intensity. Lyra took a deep breath. "This is it, the final network test. We either succeed or we collapse everything." Raj swallowed hard. "Then let's succeed." With precise adjustments, the energy streams stabilized. Stars twinkled, bending subtly to human command. The arcs of solar energy intertwined, forming a network that spanned light years. The prototype glowed, a small sun in the lab, reflecting in their eyes. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the stars seemed to pulse, almost like a heartbeat, as if acknowledging human mastery. Lyra whispered, "We did it. The stars are aligned." The council watched in stunned silence. Mockery and doubt had turned to awe. Fear replaced laughter. Scholars who had scorned humanity now whispered to one another, uncertain how to respond. "This changes everything," one elder said, voice shaking. "Humans, they are not primitive. They are something else entirely." "They are unpredictable," another said, fear evident. "And now they are powerful." On Earth, Lyra Han and her team leaned back, exhausted. Sweat dripped from their brows, but their faces glowed with triumph. "We've done more than prove them wrong. We've shown the universe that humans can do what no one else could imagine." The hum of the prototype slowed, energy streams stabilizing. The stars continued their gentle pulse, responding to human will. Outside, the galaxy watched, distant and silent, but the whispers had begun. Aliens everywhere, once arrogant and dismissive, were taking note. Lyra looked out a window at the night sky, the familiar stars twinkling as if in acknowledgement. "We have changed something tonight," she said softly. "The stars have obeyed, and the galaxy will never see humans the same way again." The real challenge, however, had only begun. Humans had shown their ingenuity, but the universe would soon test their control. The Council's mockery had ended, but the stakes were never higher. Somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, eyes watched Earth with fear and fascination, and on that small blue planet, humans smiled quietly to themselves, knowing that they had begun to bend the impossible. The stars had aligned. The question now was, what would humanity do next? The lab was tense beyond measure. Lyra Han and her team stared at the glowing prototype, the device pulsing like a living thing. The network of energy streams had already bent several stars across neighboring systems, an achievement no species in history had ever managed. But the final test, the one that would prove humanity's mastery, was far more dangerous. "We control the energy now," Lyra said softly, tracing the lines on the holographic star map. "But can we stabilize an entire cluster? That's the question. One miscalculation, and entire star systems could be destabilized." Raj rubbed his face, eyes wide. "We have done the impossible already. Why push further? We could destroy planets, entire colonies." Lyra shook her head. "Because if we succeed, we show the galaxy that humans are not just clever. We show them we are precise, adaptable, and unstoppable. This is not about arrogance, it's about survival and recognition. If the aliens fear us, we have gained respect. And if we fail, we will learn something too." May adjusted the device, checking calibrations. "The outer streams are weak. The energy dissipates quickly beyond our solar system. We need to amplify control without destabilizing the inner streams." "Then we amplify," Lyra said, her voice firm, carefully but decisively. Outside Earth, satellites tracked the energy network. The flows stretched across light years, bending subtly yet precisely toward distant stars. The sun's energy pulsed, seemingly alive, responding to the prototype. For the first time, humans were not just observers, they were conductors of the galaxy's music. In the alien council chamber, panic spread. The older scholars shouted over one another, calculations and simulations flying across holographic displays. "This cannot continue," one bellowed. "Humans are destabilizing routes used for interstellar travel. They are unpredictable, untrained. We must stop them." "They are not untrained," countered the younger scholar, calm but alarmed. "They adapt faster than any species we have ever studied. Their responses are instant, intuitive. If we interfere, we risk provoking something we cannot control." Another elder, trembling, whispered to itself, "They are shaping stars, aligning them to their will. This is beyond hubris. This is power." Back in the lab, Lyra guided the final phase. "Link the outer nodes, synchronize the frequencies, focus on the distant stars first. Every stream must flow exactly as intended. We cannot allow deviations." The prototype vibrated violently, glowing brighter than ever. The hum filled the lab, rattling windows and shaking the floor slightly. Every member of the team was tense, fingers flying over controls, eyes tracking the patterns on the screens. A sudden spike appeared in the outer energy flow. The team froze. Lyra's voice was sharp. "Correct immediately. Don't let it destabilize." Raj pressed a series of commands, rerouting the spike. The energy twisted dangerously, bending in ways no one expected. For a tense moment, it seemed the system might fail. And then the spike settled. The flows stabilized, perfectly aligned. The stars responded. Lines of energy pulsed outward, glowing like veins of light connecting systems. The cluster of stars began to resonate together, synchronized in a pattern created by human hands. May gasped. They are harmonizing. The stars are moving in perfect alignment." Lyra leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We've done it. We've aligned the cluster. The energy network is stable." Outside, satellites recorded subtle changes in starlight. Faraway civilizations, monitoring the same stars, noted anomalies. The energy pulses were unlike anything previously observed. The stars seemed aware, bending to a force they did not understand. In the alien council chamber, silence fell. The older scholars were pale, or their equivalents of pale. The younger scholar spoke again, voice calm but firm. "They have done what no species has achieved. The stars are responding to humans. They have shown ingenuity, precision, and adaptability beyond expectation." One elder whispered, almost fearfully, "We dismissed them, we mocked them, and yet they have become more than we imagined." Another, trembling, added, We must reconsider everything we know about this species. If they can control stars, what else might they do? Back in the lab, Lyra's eyes sparkled as she watched the energy network pulse. I thought they called us primitive, she murmured. They thought we couldn't reach the stars. But here we are, teaching the galaxy that humans can play with forces no one expected us to touch. Raj, still shaken, whispered, "If the Council knew what we just did, they might rethink everything, or they might try to stop us." "We will be ready," Lyra said, "because this is only the beginning. We've shown the universe that humans can take risks, calculate the impossible, and succeed. And now we push further. We don't just survive, we command." The stars continued to glow in quiet obedience, the energy arcs shimmering across space. The universe seemed to hold its breath, watching a small blue planet make its mark among the giants. Somewhere, in distant chambers of alien civilizations, the whispers spread. Mockery had become fear, doubt had become awe, and humanity, tiny, underestimated, dismissed, had proven that ingenuity, courage, and determination could bend the cosmos itself. For Lyra Han and her team, the risk was not over. The prototype hummed steadily, a reminder that even mastery came with danger. One misstep could undo everything. But the thrill of success, the knowledge that humans had reshaped the stars, filled them with a quiet determination. The turning point had come. Humanity had moved from the edge of irrelevance to the center of cosmic attention. The aliens had doubted them, mocked them, and now they were forced to reconsider. And on Earth, as the stars pulsed in harmony, Lyra Han knew one thing. The game had changed. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The challenge ahead was immense, but for the first time, humanity had not just survived, they had proven that their ingenuity could alter the very fabric of the universe. The lab was quiet, but the hum of the prototype filled every corner. Lyra Han stared at the network of energy streams flowing across the screens. The solar winds bent perfectly, the distant stars pulsing in precise harmony. Humanity had accomplished the impossible, bent the stars themselves to its will. Yet, even as the team celebrated, Lyra knew this was only the beginning. "We've stabilized the network," she said softly, "but now comes the real test. Can we maintain it? Can we hold it without collapse?" Raj ran his hands through his hair. "We've already changed the universe once today. I don't know if we can handle any more." "We must," Lyra replied firmly. "This is not about fear. This is about proving something greater, that humanity is capable of shaping the cosmos, that we are not primitive, that the galaxy must respect us." Outside Earth, satellites and telescopes recorded the energy network's delicate dance. Across light years, alien species began noticing anomalies. Scholars and explorers alike watched as the stars shimmered with patterns that seemed deliberate, precise, and intelligent. The whispers began to spread. This tiny species was no longer a curiosity, they were a force. In the alien council chamber, panic was absolute. Holographic displays flickered with simulations and warnings. "They are doing it again," one elder scholar said, voice trembling. "The energy network, it expands. Entire star clusters are responding to humans." "They have gone beyond observation," the younger scholar said calmly. "They are not just experimenting, they are commanding, they are shaping the stars themselves." The elders looked at each other, faces, or their equivalents of faces, white with fear. "We must act," one elder whispered. "We must intervene before they destabilize everything." But the younger scholar shook its head. "No, they are precise, adaptive. Every time we consider interference, they respond and correct faster than we can calculate. Humanity, they are different. We cannot control them. We can only watch." Back in the lab, Lyra guided the final phase. Link all remaining nodes, she instructed. We will create a complete stellar grid. Every star in the cluster must respond in harmony. Every flow must be perfect. Raj glanced at the readings. This is unimaginable. Even the smallest miscalculation could send shockwaves through systems we cannot predict. I know, Lyra said, fingers flying over the controls, but we've come this far, and now we finish what we started. The prototype vibrated violently. Energy arcs stretched farther than ever, connecting stars across light years. The hum became almost deafening, a resonance that seemed to echo through the very fabric of space. Suddenly, a minor spike appeared, an unexpected surge from a distant star. The team froze. Lyra's voice was sharp and commanding. Correct immediately. Focus. Stabilize. Every team member acted at once. Adjustments, recalibrations, corrections. They moved like a single organism. The prototype pulsed brighter, glowing like a miniature sun. And then, slowly, the spike stabilized. The network held. May whispered in awe. It's beautiful. The stars, they are perfectly aligned. Outside, distant civilizations monitored the phenomenon in stunned silence. The energy patterns were unlike anything recorded before, intelligent, precise, and responsive. Humanity had rewritten the rules. In the alien council, the room was silent. The once dismissive elders now stared in disbelief. The younger scholar spoke softly, almost reverently. They have done it. They have proven themselves. They are not primitive. They are extraordinary. One elder, shaking, murmured, "We mocked them, we doubted them, and yet they have surpassed every expectation. We cannot ignore them." Another added, "They are unpredictable, clever, and relentless. If we oppose them, we risk disaster. If we underestimate them, we invite our own destruction." Back in the lab, Lyra guided the final phase. "Link all remaining nodes," she instructed. "We will create a complete stellar grid. Every star in the cluster must respond in harmony. Every flow must be perfect." Raj glanced at the readings. "This is unimaginable. Even the smallest miscalculation could send shockwaves through systems we cannot predict." "I know," Lyra said, fingers flying over the controls, "but we've come this far, and now we finish what we started." Back on Earth, Lyra turned to her team, exhausted but triumphant. "We've shown the universe that humans are capable of ingenuity no one believed possible, that we can act where others fear to tread, that we are not to be dismissed." Raj nodded slowly. "The Council, the galaxy, they'll never see humans the same way again." "No," Lyra said with a small smile. "They will respect us or fear what comes next, and we decide which." The stars pulsed gently in the night sky, as if acknowledging human mastery. Energy flows continued to ripple across systems, controlled perfectly by human hands. The prototype, though now dimmer, still glowed steadily, a symbol of Earth's ingenuity. Somewhere in the galaxy, the whispers grew into acknowledgement. Scholars and leaders, explorers and scientists all took note. Humanity had moved from curiosity to force, from dismissed to dominant in terms of potential. And on Earth, the people below continued their lives, unaware of the cosmic revolution underway. But in the lab, Lyra Han and her team knew the truth. The galaxy had changed forever. The stars had obeyed, the impossible had become reality, and humanity had proven itself to be more than anyone had ever imagined. Lyra looked out the window at the quiet, twinkling stars. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, "We are no longer just survivors. We are thinkers. We are creators. We are humans, and we will never be dismissed again." The prototype's glow faded gently, but the network remained stable. The stars continued to pulse in harmony, a silent testament to the ingenuity of a small blue planet. In the alien council, the mood had shifted. Fear, Awe and respect replaced mockery. For the first time, the galaxy understood. Humans were not primitive. They were a species capable of shaping the cosmos itself. And somewhere deep in the lab, Lyra Hand smiled, knowing that humanity's reckoning had arrived. The universe had been warned, and the stars themselves had answered. Humanity had claimed its place among the cosmos.